So building a super bullpen in the Bronx would be awesome if the Yankees could actually get to it. Hello, everybody. Hope you're doing well. So we've talked about this over the last several days and even weeks that the Yankees have, pitching needs, starting pitching and relief. And there's been some talk about Yankees and Jordan Montgomery, and if they're not making a deal with Montgomery, if they can't make a deal, they should pivot to Josh Hader. And we're getting some other folks saying they should build a super pen. I get it, but the fact is, with the exception of Garrett Cole, the only other pitcher that gave them length last year to some degree was Clark Schmidt. We didn't get it from Carlos Rodon. We didn't get it from Nestor Cortez. And they traded away the other guys to the Padres to get Juan Soto. So there's still just a need for two starting pitchers who can eat innings. And it doesn't make any sense to build a super pen when we don't have the arms to actually get to it and utilize it. So at least in my opinion, let me know what you think either way. And so here's some also names that talked about lightly, but here's some other guys who've been DFA'd recently that might be wise for them to take a flyer on. Okay. And number one, who's Declan Cronin. He was just DFA'd by the White Sox to make room for Tim Hill. I think it's Tim Hill, the Henry reliever. He's 26 years old, just started his clock. So he's got 6 years of control left on the cheap. You want a cheap, controllable arm for the bullpen in the event that they don't build a super pen, because the fact is, with the people that are left right now in terms of free agency, if you're going to build a super pen, you need Josh Hader and you need Jordan Hicks, both of them together, not one or the other, for a super pen. Okay, we got Louis Hill coming back. We've got Scott Efrost coming back as well, and there may be some other guys that have moved out to make room for some new guys too, and they've added a left-handed relief pitcher from the Dodgers, who's essentially, to my opinion, is going to be Wandy Peralta on the cheap. And they also added a versatile right-handed reliever from the Guardians in the Estevan Florial trade a couple days ago, too. So they've already added arms to the pen. So I don't know how much more they're going to add. I still expect them to add one arm, probably a big one. So Declan Cronin is a guy that might be worth taking a flyer on, as does Brian Hudson, left-handed pitcher who's also DFA'd by the Dodgers, 26-year-old as well, 5 years of control off, too. And he struck out 86 guys in 55 innings in AAA. So he's actually almost 6 years of control. So another lefty on the cheap. He's 6'8". So if you want a towering figure, there you go. Okay. These guys are not the sexy names, but these are the types of names that Matt Blake can work with and maybe turn into something valuable. So, and it won't be any problem, won't be any risk getting him. You can get him. You can invite him to spring training. You can get him on a minor league deal. That way they're not on the 40-man. You get an invite to spring training. If they make it, then they make it, if they're willing to do that. If not, it's another story. But there's a couple guys that take a flyer on. Obviously, we talked about Brandon Woodruff. A lot of folks are saying Yankees should take a flyer on, and I get it. But the fact is, too, that he's a 30-year-old right-handed starting pitcher. He's essentially the co-ace behind Corbin Burns from the Brewers. And Burns is the big get, but the problem with Burns is that it's going to cost either Clayton Beeter or Will Warren or Chase Hampton and then some to get him for 1 year. And he's already stated that he's not going to sign an extension. He wants to test free agency. So net minus there. So Brandon Woodruff is a guy maybe worth taking a flyer on if you can get him on the cheap for 2024, stack him away, get him healthy, and maybe he'll be a valuable member of the starting rotation in 2025. Maybe. But that's a risk you're still taking because he's coming off a big injury. Okay. And so, but he's another guy worth considering if you can get him on the cheap. Okay, obviously Luis Castillo now. Mariners reporters are talking about Luis Castillo potentially becoming available. Mariners did not themselves say that he was available yet. Mariners reporters are saying this. Okay, and him and Logan Gilbert and so on and so forth. But the fact is, too, he's 31. He's got 5 years left on an extension that's starting this year. His extension's not starting until all of his pre-arb years are up, which is now. Okay, his arb years are up, his pre-arb years are up. And the extension is, I think it's 5 years, $115 million. So you can get him on $23 million per year at 31. And it's going to cost you as much, if not more, than Corbin Burns. So it's something to keep in mind. Logan Gilbert is on the cheap. He's younger. He's going to cost even more than Luis Castillo. Okay, how about another guy that might be an option too? Bryce Miller, right-handed pitcher, 26-year-old, tons of control. He'll be cheaper than both of them. Okay, he's an impressive player as well. And if you can get it, you can get him for like an Oswald Peraza and Everson Pereira. The Mariners need bats. Okay, Mariners need bats, and here are a couple controllable bats on the cheap. Apparently, the Mariners are having some financial difficulty. So if you can get them some controllable players, and just put in perspective here, Bryce Miller was 8-7 with a 4.32 ERA, 131 innings pitched, 119 strikeouts in 2023. It's 25 games. So career, that's his stats last year. So he still has 5 years of control left on the cheap. So if the Yankees want a cheap, controllable starter who wouldn't cost as much as Castillo or Burns, or maybe one of those starters from the Marlins, or Dylan Cease, he's another one worth looking at. So, but again, some semblance of innings pitched, 131 innings pitched, and we need guys who can throw 170, 180 innings. And there's only a couple guys who actually represent that, okay? Luis Castillo threw 197 innings pitched this past year. 219 strikeouts, 14-9, 3.34 ERA. Jordan Montgomery, who's a free agent who won't cost anything but cash if we can get him, 188 innings pitched with a 3.20 ERA, 10-11 on a somewhat of a worse team, but obviously he was better when he went to the Texas Rangers. He had a 2.79 ERA with Texas. So, and he was lights out in the postseason. So he's shown that he can perform in the big stage in a big market. Okay, and it would be a welcome addition to the Yankees. But the fact is, they would be getting an innings-eating pitcher. Then there's one other innings-eating pitcher, Lucas Giolito, who's available in the Yankees could get for cash without having to trade a bunch of guys. Okay, I understand the appeal of Corbin Burns, the appeal of Dylan Cease, the appeal of even Shane Bieber. He's probably the most appealing of them because he'll cost the least, and he's got a year of control left too. But he's had some issues as well. But again, he was at his best when he was under Matt Blake's tutelage. So we can reunite him and not have to give up one of our top starting pitching prospects. Then it's worth investigation. But Lucas Giolito also throws between 160 and 180 innings per season as well. Now this year he was traded twice. He also went through a messy divorce too, so he was a little off this year. So again, give him a mulligan for that. But he's an innings guy, as is Jordan Montgomery. So there are guys who are out there. Even Marcus Stroman throws innings. He's known to be a little bit of a head case with an attitude. So I don't know if they're going to go down that road. Okay, I know as much people, several people saying let's get Trevor Bauer. Well, he would bring the same type of drama and baggage, unfortunately, that Marcus Stroman will likely bring. They're both durable. They're both good pitchers, no doubt about it. But if I had to choose between the two, it would probably be Jordan Montgomery and Lucas Giolito, or Jordan Montgomery and Shane Bieber, or Jordan Montgomery and Shota Imanaga from Japan, the lefty Japanese player. And remember, I noticed some talks about him having given up some home runs, but you look at the pitchers who give up a lot of home runs. Max Scherzer's on there. Okay, Logan Gilbert's on there. A lot of top pitchers are on there. They give up home runs. So, and I think Matt Blake would actually help him work with that. And he shut down Team USA in the World Baseball Classic Final. Watch the World Baseball Classic Final. He's the guy that shut them down. Shota Imanaga throws hard. He elicits a lot of swing and miss pitches. Okay, he doesn't throw as hard as Roki Sasaki or Yamamoto, but he doesn't need to. Comes on the lefty side. He'll cost less than any of these guys. So I would take any combination of those two starting pitchers. But the fact is, before we even consider a guy like Josh Hader, if he's still available, we need two starting pitchers to help us get to him. Okay, and at that point, I've already said I would be transitioning Nestor Cortez and Luis Hill into long relief this year to protect them, to keep them healthy, and serve that as that bridge for the starting rotation to get to the bullpen. That way, we're set in both areas, all three areas: starting pitching, long relief, short bullpen. Okay, but you let me know what you think, gang. Make sure that you're subbed to this channel because we're going to continue to talk about this. We'll go live Saturday night. I want to hear everybody's thoughts on our open panel, and hit the notification button as well. That way, when stuff does come out, you're always going to get it, and you'll be at the front of the line when it does. So I thank you so much for that. But these are some. I get whipped about all these other folks. We've talked about Dylan Cease. We've talked about Corbin Burns, but the asking prices right now are very, very, very high. Okay, and something else I want to point out too. There's a reason why, in my opinion, why the starting pitching, a reason, I'm not saying the reason, but why I think the starting pitching market is moving pretty slow. Yamamoto was a massive overpay Dodgers, 12 years, 325. It would have been the same massive overpay from the Yankees, and I'm glad they didn't give it to him. I have a feeling we dodged a bullet. Okay, and Yankee fans, the Dodgers are coming to town in June, so let's be sure we give them the nice Yankee cheer, booing the living daylights out of them when they do come here, because he used the Yankees. Let's make him pay for it. And I hope he pitches against us, and I hope we clean his clock. So, but that was a massive overpay. And the two most desirable starting pitchers right now, Jordan Montgomery and Blake Snell, are both represented by Scott Boras. I think we're take advantage of this massive overpay and try to create more massive overpays for his clients. And he likes to slow the market down and get people to become desperate and bite. So I would not be surprised if guys like Marcus Stroman and some of these other folks get signed before these guys. So I wouldn't panic too much right now, okay? There's a lot of time left. The market generally picks up in January. Scott Boras does a lot of his dirty work in January, his magic work, and I do expect them to be busy one way or the other. But in the very least, that's my take on it. I would not be even thinking about a super pen unless we can get 2 innings eaters to add behind Gerrit Cole and Clark Schmidt and whoever, and hopefully Carlos Rodon in that rotation, while our other young kids continue to develop, and the other guys get healthy and better. So let me know what your thoughts are, gang. Have a great week, and I'll talk to you next time.